Hello. Hopefully everybody is able to hear me. I don't know if anyone is actually watching right now. It's having some issues getting things going. Move some things around here. Alright. So my goal tonight is just to build a preset app in the Quad Cortex. I am going to be using this lovely ESP SC607B. It's my favorite guitar I own. No fancy overtune or anything like that on this one. Just a simple, straight up guitar. Very well made. You know how it goes. ESP and LTD stuff is nice. Unless you're an old man and you want to get mad about Gibson stuff. So, this is what we're working with. Should be able to hear it. Looks like I'm getting some audio there. Alright, let's see if I can move this a little further in the direction of where I am. Okay, so typically, when I start building out a patch, I am thinking in terms of having a bunch of things be available to me on the floor unit itself. So if I press any of the scenes or snapshots, depending on which format you're used to. So I'm coming from Helix originally, so I will probably mess up and call them snapshots. Scenes, essentially we can create one preset that allows us to have multiple sounds. So this is our plugged in tone, no amp sound, just clean. Which is nice. So I'm going to start with an amp and cab, and then we'll just go from there. So do something I normally don't do. Let's do Diesel channel 3. Single. Pretty fond of the float. So we get a little quiet. Here's what we're dealing with so far. Turn it down so it's not blowing your ears out. It's a thick one. Actually sounds pretty great on its own. We're going to do some dialing now. So I'm going to I like mids, the treble a bit, drop the bass. Doesn't sound bad. I think it needs a little bit of tightening, just to kind of get it a little less in that flubby world. I know that the Diesel is actually known for being a little bassy, which is fine. I'm also going to set my output to be output 1 because that is currently where my Quad Cortex is going out into my interface. So let's get back to the amp here. We are going to go find ourselves an overdrive. And you know, I actually like the overdrive that comes with the Plini plugin, or Plini, however you say that. really prefer that one. Take the drive all the way out. The old school way here, just tighten things up. I'm going to add a little tone there to add some snap to it. And drag this back just a tiny bit. Squishy. Alright, so it's a pretty solid rhythm tone for now. I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking here and add an EQ afterwards so we can get rid of some things that I find unpleasant in the sound. So if you can see this, I actually have a parametric 8-band EQ set up already for all the tweaks I typically make. Honestly, I don't think we need that much, so I'm going to go with a 3-band, and we're just going to go in here and do a little tweaking. So I tend to want to start with getting the low, so we're going to do a high pass here and roll things off just around 80, so we'll turn this back on if it'll let us. It's fighting me right now, so we're going to go back over to 8. I'm going to put it on a default setting, and then we will go from there. So I guess that is a default setting. Look, it's right now, it was a real struggle even getting on here. So let's just do it this way. Usually around 80, I'm cutting off the low. So we'll do that. And I usually have a little bit pulled out of the 100 hertz and a little bit pulled out of 200. Now, what this does is cuts out some of the flub, these low notes, especially when you're being in F sharp or any super low tuning. You know, F sharp pretty close to getting back into bass territory. We're only a half step from E, so just tightens things up a bit. From there, I'm usually pulling out gross frequencies, so 650 is a little gnarly and adds a little bit of unwanted nasally type of thing going on. I don't want as much out of it as what I had in the preset, but definitely want some of it out. It's 1/1000th 80, same thing, just cutting out some mud. From there, we're going to move on to at 2, usually around 2000 or whatever. I usually just take a tiny bit out. I keep the Q pretty high, so it's not really fully removing it. It's just getting rid of some of the gross. And then I usually sweep until I find what sounds gross to me. To me, I just pull it out. So take it. You can't hear me? weird. It's showing level there. You can't hear me at all? You still can't hear me? I'm showing it is on. OBS is a pain. Let's see here. Getting level. Still not able to hear me? It's showing it's pretty loud. Hello? Hi there. Baritone Dave, can you hear me? Yes, no? Anyone hearing me? On my end, I show it as working. Hello? Can't hear me talk. Okay. Can you hear me now? What about now? Anything? Nothing? I don't understand. You still can't hear me talk? Weird. Okay. What about now? Can you hear me better? All right. What about now? Can you hear me better? All right, so let's just start over. Sorry. I'm going to get rid of all of this, and then we're going to start over, since no one could hear me. The live stream thing is tricky for me right now. I really want it to work and to be something that I can do a lot more frequently. But I'm still having issues with OBS and getting everything dialed in properly. I really need another computer just to kind of pull things together. I'm hoping to get one of the entry level Mac Mini M4s so I can run all of my streaming stuff on one computer and then all of my DAW and all that on another, and then run them into one another. That way things are a little smoother. So I'm going to start over, and basically all I'm doing is building a preset. So just going to build a simple preset that's got a few sounds in it and go from there. So I don't know, let's do it with plugins. Why not? Go with the Gojira amp, Gojira Hot. Go back into the plugin. We'll go Gojira Cab 1. What we got here? Sounds like thick distortion. I'm going to drop the gain a tiny bit. Sounds okay so far. I'm going to slap a little bit of overdrive in front of that. Just keep it easy. Go with an 808. I have a lot of these set with default presets that I've just saved in there because this is generally where I set a tube screamer up, like how I set one up. So overdrive's off, tones up the center, volume is slammed. I see your message about turning the guitar up a bit. Hopefully that's better. Anyway, yep. Add an overdrive, got a cab going. I often do things in the quad like I would if I were using the Helix. So assigning a lot of stuff to scenes. You'll see me do that kind of throughout. Just go down here and right click, hit assign to scenes. What we can do with that is start turning things on and off and assigning it to banks on the physical unit itself. So right now I've got it on the A channel. This is our sound on A. I'm going to space these out a tiny bit, and I'm going to put another gate in here. So I'm going to go to the utility, and then we're going to go to adaptive gate, and I'm going to check input 1 as my source, and that tightens everything up. Like, quiet as it can be. Tight, quiet. That's how we want it. All right. So we'll also put this in the scenes option because I may want to turn it off. So now what I'm going to do is set up a clean option. So we've got ourselves a nice distortion. I don't know why I said it that way. Distortion. And now we're going to make a nice clean sound. So I'm going to move some things back a bit and keep that there. I'm going to keep the same cab and we're going to turn these, keep these on. We're going to save this as dumb stream or stream, dumb stream. So we'll go back to it in our directory here. And now that we've got dumb stream started, we're going to do B. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn the overdrive off. I'm going to turn this off. Now we're going to find another amp and set it up as our clean. So I think for that, I want to go into Plenty, do Plenty clean. I like that amp. So go here, Plenty clean, super clean. Which is pretty cool. We'll turn it down just a tiny bit. Spanky. Cleans are cool. So we're going to assign that to scenes as well. And I'm going to add a reverb behind there, give some things a little bit of that natural room sound. Yep, that's tuning is cool. Not in perfect tune. We'll deal with that in a moment. I'm going to set the reverb also to be a scene. So we will save it here as B, and then we'll go back to A, turn these two off. So we're going from A got that. Go to B. Got her clean. Still needs to come down a bit in volume. And pretty much with that, we've got ourselves at least two tones. So if you had a fairly simple setup and you were just going to play a show, you could set this up. This is your main dirty. Got a nice quick clean to get to. Utilizing the same cab. Just going back and forth so we can turn a lot of things off that way and a lot of things back on. Not bad sounding at all. Well, let's say we wanted to get a little weird and make that clean sound have a little bit of drive to it. That's without our clean amp, so let's turn the clean amp back on. Got a little bit of a gritty thing going on there now. I'm going to move this back one, and we are going to slap some other reverbs in there. What is it? I have not used the unified preamp, but we can do that here in a moment. Why not? And do with this, assign that to scenes. We'll save this. See that? So we can go from our general clean into a more gritty and ambient thing. And when you're using the unified preamplifier, do you just use that with clean stuff? Like you're just using it at the beginning of a clean patch? Is that what you're doing? For the record, I'm following your chat stuff just on my phone, so it's a little delayed. But I do see what you're saying there, and I am going to try it. So save this as dumb stream. This is just me playing around on the quad. I'm just feeling out this whole live stream nonsense, trying to get it all working properly. And also going to start doing this more frequently. I'm going to set up the super chats, and yeah, I'm hoping to start doing this more regularly and do more of this community thing and really start to build on it. And I just working it out. I need another computer to really dial it in. Previously, I had a Mac Mini that was doing the job for me. I don't have that anymore, and wasn't really doing a lot of live streaming. But now that I'm getting back into it, I'm going to need a second computer, and that is the cheapest option that's out there that's powerful enough to do so. So I'm going to try to start doing these live streams more frequently, maybe set up some super chats, that sort of thing, and over time save up enough to get something to make this a little bit of a easier process. I did order a capture card today, so I'm getting a little bit closer each day with making this what it should be, or what I would like it to be. So I'm going to start another blank preset, and someone had mentioned to check out the Unity preamp thing, which I don't know where that is. See if I can find it. Go down here. Nope. I literally don't know where any of this would be. So if you know where the Unity preamp is, please let me know, because I don't. A Unity gate, doubler, gain, phase doctor, plug-in blend, plug-in doubler, plug-in gate. Yeah, I don't see any of this. Let me go back up into here and see if there's anything I'm missing. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know what you're talking about, and I'm wasting my time. Either way, while I'm waiting on a response in relation to that, I will just go ahead and create another preset. So I don't know. Let's do something with a capture this time. So I've got some captures here. Got a, let's see, divided by 13. And grab ourselves a nice cab there. Recto. I believe that capture also has a cab on it, so let's find something else. So this is the Naked Friedman, which is the amp that Billy from A Perfect Circle uses. I'm a big fan of his guitar sound. So this kind of gets pretty close pretty quickly. I'm going to go with this. Another one one sounded better. Been a long time since I played that. Let's do that. Slap a little overdrive on front of there. That'll probably tighten it up a bit. It's also gonna clean up some of that flub. Solid sounding capture. Toin. We're gonna turn on the noise gate here, tighten it up a bit. I do think I'm gonna tinker with this a bit and up the treble. Take down the lows. Some sloppy Mike Stringer ripoffs. Yeah. Doesn't take much to dial in a nice tone with the Quad Cortex. That's one thing I can say about it over any of the other modelers that are out there. Less work to get a very usable tone. I think the biggest complaint that I've seen in relation to the other ones, particularly with the Helix, which I love, is that with the Helix, you got to do a lot of work. The presets that are built into it aren't quite there in relation to really getting you where you want to be. And if you're someone who only relies on presets, you're going to be pretty upset about that. It's the most general complaint I've heard about that, other than the built-in cabs not being great during the earlier era of Helix. Now, they all kind of sound great. All the modelers are very capable of sounding fantastic. They all do sound good, but they also require different levels of work and time to dial in. So, my end, I prefer to be able to just get in and get a really usable sound very quickly, or I will dial in something that I know I would like in the real world. So I love Bogner amps. I love Friedman's, any sort of modded Marshall or a JCM 800. Or a Fortin, anything of that sort, or something like this capture here, like the Naked, which is a modified Friedman Marshall type of thing. Kind of a Friedman mixed with a Mesa, which is great. It's kind of spongy and has a nice sub-frequency thing going. A great tool for layering. But I just want to be able to get one or two things up and running and have a really great tone if I needed to run a session, or I just needed to practice, or someone said, hey, I want you to come rehearse with this band or practice with a band. Here's the type of sound we're looking for. I can get that pretty quickly. If I were in a studio scenario, I could easily dial in something that's very usable and be off and running. What is it called? Gotcha. But anyhow, yeah, you can do a lot with very little on the quad to get some pretty solid sounds. I have had weird experience with some of the others, as I mentioned. I will say that I've had very little experience with the Axe-Fx itself. What I have used of the Axe-Fx, which is in a studio scenario, and it did sound great, but it was a tone someone else had already dialed in, and it was very specific to the use case. That was a fuzz type of thing. But I know people love them and get great sounds out of them. I know the band Failure uses them primarily as their main sound tool at this point, and I love all the guitar sounds they get. Very exciting stuff there, but just seems like it takes a little bit more work. It's also way more expensive. I haven't played with Helix Stadium yet. It does look appealing to me. However, there are some things about Helix that I don't miss, and there are some things about Helix I do miss. I don't miss the work part of it where you have to really tweak and tweak and tweak to get things exactly where you want it. Now, you can do that with the quad, and the other ones, of course, they all have that capability. But the advantage I find with the quad is that I can just kind of plug in and pull up one or two things and really get where I need to get without going too crazy with tweaking. On the Helix, it is a little more work to get a great sound out of it. It's not annoying by any stretch of the imagination, and if you're someone who likes to tinker, you're probably going to get it. And I am one of those folks, so when I had the Helix, I really spent a lot of time dialing in my sounds and was very happy with them. I found that if I'd go to something else or need to make a change was a little bit more tedious with that unit. The thing I miss about that unit, though, is that it had so many amazing reverbs and delays and just stuff that, this one doesn't quite have yet. There are plenty of things here to use, and you can combine stuff and get some of the same kind of effects, but it takes a little more work here in the quad to get the reverb and delay sounds that you can get out of the Helix. I imagine some of this stuff's going to come as time does with the newer unit. But anyway, if I needed to just plug in and get something going, we got 3 blocks. That's more than enough to do a gig. Let's keep that cab block and get rid of this. And I don't know, let's build out something else. Find another amp. Let's do a Friedman. I got a sound in the Friedman I like, which is this, which is way too loud, sorry. Already sounds pretty solid. I'll slap an overdrive on it. I'm going to find a capture of an overdrive to put in front of it. There's a TS. That doesn't sound bad at all. Keep doing a little searching. Don't care for that as much. Let's see if we can find another nice boost. So this is a Boss Heavy Metal pedal that I had captured there. It sounds great. It's just not applicable to this particular sound. Let's see if you're Dirty Tree. If you're not familiar with Dirty Tree, it is kind of a tube screamer guy that's got a bit of extra tweaking and EQ. Doesn't sound good with this amp. So we'll move on. Not quite there yet. Nah. Don't care for that either. Let's see what else we can find here. Oh, we got this plasma coil. Very fuzzy. KRS Euros. Kind of see where people would like that pedal, particularly for metal stuff, because it does do the djent thing or gent thing. Does add a lot of noise though. Here's a nice Maxon 808. Actually kind of like that. I'm going to switch out the cab though because I feel like it's doing us dirty. So let's find ourselves a nice IR that isn't going to do us dirty. Or it's going to do us dirty in a better way. I don't know. There we go. Already a little better. Sloppy Deftones. That way I don't get a copyright strike. And I can make an excuse for my sloppy playing. It's honestly pretty solid sounding as is. I'm going to find another. Okay, that cab is the jam with this amp. Get back to the chat here. The Quad's very solid unit. It does exactly what you would expect it to do. There's a reason it's became the most common one as of late, like even beating out the Helix finally. I think it's just an ease of use thing versus form factor and the fact that you can do kind of what I'm suggesting here, whereas this is 3 blocks. It is a fully capable sound. You could easily play a show without any real work or diving in. Yeah. And you got the capture stuff going, so you can do captures of amps, real amps you like if you want. Anyway, yeah, perfectly usable tones with very little work. I actually like this sound a lot, so I am going to save it. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure that it's going to the right output so that I can use it in the future. And we will call this one She's So Fine. There we go. There's a thing that happens with this particular amp, and I don't know if it's a combination of the Fishman, maybe it's the sum of all the parts per se, but there's a nice froggy character to the low notes that I really enjoy. And it's just something to do with this combination of things. Just sounds nice, it's snappy. I also get a lot of string separation in there, so I don't know what it is. There's, again, probably the sum of all the parts. I just really enjoy the Friedman model that is in most of the modelers, to be frank, but this one in particular. That, and then using a nice overdrive in front of it really gets it where you need it to be. Anyways, I'm just messing around, trying to get a feel for this whole live stream thing. Definitely getting it better than it was. Dialing things in a little bit better each time is going to be better. I definitely want to get to that place where I'm able to have a separate computer set up. That way I can really run things the way I like and get more active with this. I need to get some lighting as well for this side of things so that everything can be fairly visible. But I really want to get into doing more of these live streams or just building things out and sharing it all with you here. So I'm looking forward to it, and I appreciate all of you dealing with my technical difficulties and tweaking and that sort of thing. And turn this down so I'm not making noise. But if there's anything you want me to cover on videos coming up, please let me know. I do have a video on the Synergy stuff coming up soon. I want to do more videos building presets here, as well as going over my current preset that I'm using for my band, which I'll show briefly on here, but I'm going to do a separate video on it, so we can do that now, and then I'll talk about it. So since the band is finally moving forward, we have another record coming out, and a single, I believe, next month. I am starting to build out presets for shows and just stuff like that, going through the older material. So I have a preset, these two presets here, the Freeman one as well as this 2024 one. These are presets that are built around my the first record and my live sounds for the first record. So it's going to start with my clean tone, so I'll just briefly go through it and I'll use the actual switches. So this is the clean sound I would be using on the first record, playing in a different tuning than I would on that one, but it's pretty well dialed in for that record if you've heard the first Modern Witchcraft record. That is the clean tone that was on most of that record. In full transparency, that record was recorded primarily on the Helix along with some real amps for layering, but I've recreated those presets in the Quad, and in my opinion, they sound a little better in the Quad. They're a little clearer, particularly with the clean stuff. So my cleans are typically, on that record, have a tiny bit of octave underneath them. Just makes things a little fuller and gives it its own unique character. Going from there is my standard distortion. This is a lot closer to what I used on that record. I'm using a Bogner here for that. I'm going to turn up the treble a tiny bit because it's not quite where I want it to be, and I'm going to turn down the gain a tiny bit because I'm hearing it in the ears. Great sounding distortion, really reliable. That's what I used on the first record. I used Bogner Ubershaw. I used the version of it that was in the Helix, and I also used a Sovtech amp with a bunch of distortion and fuzz in front of it for that record. So it's a combination primarily of the Bogner along with that in the Helix. This is my overdrive and octave sound. Octave is a big thing for the band. It's a big part of my sound in general. So this is that same tone, but with an overdrive as well as an octave. I'm gonna lead. And an octave lead. With a lot of trails on it. And yeah, that is the presets for all of the first record stuff when we play it live. And going into this, I will do the presets for all of the new stuff we're working on, because it's a different sound. So the clean is more clean on the newer stuff. Less of the gritty thing that's happening on the other recording. That is the Nolly clean thing. So it's the same amp, just less dirty. And my main distortion on the newer record is mostly the Fortin Nameless. I like the brightness of it, and I like the attack. So since most of the new record is on 7-string and in F sharp, I wanted something that was a little tighter and a little more in the mid-range world and upper mid-range world, because it's tuned so low, and I want to make sure that everything has its proper sonic place and things. Having a bass tuned to low F sharp can get a bit muddy. There's a big portion of the record that was just using C sharp standard rather than actually using the low F on bass. The few songs we do use it on, it's really there to reinforce things. But when you're tuned that low, you got to find a way to balance things out. So I've done that by using a slightly sharper sound than I did on the prior record. And you'll hear that. And the lovely Nick Hill of Nick Hill Makes Music here on YouTube. He recorded some stuff with us on that record, and he used the badunk in Helix for a lot of his sounds on the new record. So this is kind of a happy medium between where he was with that sound and where I was with the sounds from the first record. And this kind of gives me a blend of both worlds. It still keeps some of that modern vibe going that he had with his tones, since he's no longer with us in the band, but it kind of keeps his vibe around, which I appreciate and like, because he was a contributing factor to the new record. And it gives it some middle ground. It kind of keeps things tied to that version of things, which is cool. This will make more sense, obviously, once songs from the new record come out. But Modern Witchcraft is that band that I'm in, and yeah, Nick Hill was in it with us for a little while too. Now my buddy Josh Gwynn is in it, and yeah, just moving right along. Here is my octave sound for the new era of stuff. More in your face, and I think a little more of attack and emphasis in the upper mids, as I mentioned on the previous sound, but with the octave underneath it. It does a great job at not being too much in the sub world, but also still adding that layer. Going back and forth between with and without, so without. With. So that's that. And the lead sound, similar kind of thing. In this instance, I've got it a little bit more washed out with reverb, and I've got the timing set at like 255, so it's a pretty instantaneous thing. I wanted it to be more, I don't know, spacey sounding when there are leads on this record. So it's doing that and pretty much nailing it. There is another sound here, which is my octave with a bunch of lead stuff. So it does a great job with that. And there's some songs where things are a little faster on the next record, but there's also some space there. So having the stops there, the trails kind of come out and bloom a bit, which is nice. When I'm using the octave thing. And this one has one final tune or preset that we use. That's a scene inside of this that is for an intro to a song, but it's got an upper octave and a lower octave, and yeah, just it's a fun one. Just a lot of fun noises to mess with. And lastly, I'll get into I've got one preset that is just for the song Honey Creeper from the first record because there's a bit crusher on it. So I need that there. And then I have a fuzz tone that is used on the new record, which is just a layer. But it is in there underneath a lot of stuff. So if there's a riffy part, it's underneath stuff. Gnarly. It's ugly. That's on the record. And this angry octave thing. Is on the record. And lastly, we've got this bees sound, which is also on the record anytime there's like something that's gnarly and gross. Which sounds like that. It's almost got no definition. It's just noise. Similar to some of the pedals that are out there that make noise these days. And lastly, there is a synthy thing that we're using on stuff. Which is pretty cool. Anyway, that that's me dicking around with stuff on a live stream. I will be more prepared next time and try to make it a little better. I don't know if I'm going to get to another one this week. If I can, I will. If not, then I will be doing one next week. My goal is to do one live stream a week, as well as a short or two a week, and to put up a video every other week. So stand by, I suppose, for another video. I did release a short today on a guitar that I'm working on, and I'll be releasing another one tomorrow about another guitar I'm working on. So doing my best to keep things going and get back to doing it kind of full tilt here. So if you got any questions, anything you'd like me to cover, certainly let me know. I'm going to do my best to make things better with these live streams, as I've mentioned before. So we'll get it going. But until next time, it's been me signing off. Thanks for hanging out with me. I can't say enough about how awesome it is that any of you show up, let alone to have anywhere between 4 to 25 of you on here at any given time. So it's pretty cool. And I'm hoping that we can continue to grow things and make things a little more productive each time. What I'm really hoping to do in the future is get to where I can have a DAW open at the same time and go back and forth and maybe even write a song in real time with you, that sort of thing. And yeah, we got to get there. It's just going to take some work. Super chats will be available in all of these streams from here on out. If you're willing to donate to the cause, anything helps. I will also be setting up a Patreon as well shortly, just to try to build community with you guys and try to find a way to make this thing something I can do more frequently. So I hope you're okay with that. I can't wait to do more of it, and I'm excited to really get into it and do it proper. I know I'm not quite there yet, so I'm being open and honest about that. But it will happen, and in time, it will be good to go. So until next time, it's me. This is Gear Stuff and Things, of course, and this was my